Greetings, Earthlings. It is time for another XLR and USB dynamic microphone review. This is the Rode PodMic USB. If you are interested in this mic, it costs around $200. Like always, there are some affiliate links in the description down below. In the sake of full disclosure, I do need to let you know this microphone is on loan from Rode. All of my recording settings will be linked in the doobly-doo and the lower third. And now let's talk about what comes in the box. What a shocker, you are going to get the microphone. You get a windscreen which slides directly onto the microphone, a 3-meter USB-C to USB-C cable, and a little bit of a safety guide. Then as far as the build quality, the microphone feels pretty good, just like the XLR version. It has an all-metal body as well as a metal mesh grille with a tiny bit of give to it. It has a metal mount with 5/8 and 3/8 inch threading. The tension screws are made of plastic. On the rear, you have an XLR port. You have a USB-C port to connect this to your device. A 3.5mm headphone jack, which offers zero latency monitoring and computer playback, a headphone volume control, and if it matters to you, this microphone is made in Australia. If you care about the specs, I will have them listed in the description as well as have them up on screen in case you want to pause and take a closer look. Now I am spinning around the PodMic USB to 90 degrees to show you the off-axis rejection and coloration. Continuing around the microphone to 180 degrees, this is the rear. Continuing around to the second 90-degree angle, here we are, and then rotating and ending at the front of the mic. Now let's see how effective the microphone and the provided foam windscreen are at rejecting plosives. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now I am right on top of the PodMic USB to exaggerate the proximity effect, and here's how it's sounding. Now I'm about 3 inches away. Burger King foot lettuce. Now 1 foot away from the PodMic USB. About 2 feet away from the PodMic USB, and about 4 feet away from the Rode PodMic USB. Now I am typing on a keyboard with Gatoron blue switches to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard it picks up. And for the gaming folk, now I'm clickety-clacking on the sad W and spacebar keys. Now, here is how the microphone sounds with no processing about 3 inches away from my mouth in a fairly well-treated room. And here is how the microphone sounds with no processing about 3 inches away from my mouth in a completely untreated room. Now I want to see how effective the microphone is at rejecting shocks, so I'll start by tapping on my desk to see if it can reject that. And then I will tap on the boom arm. Hey, what a big surprise, I'm annoying, so I am going to tap on the microphone to see if there are any kind of resonant frequencies. Now I want to see if the provided foam windscreen has a big impact on the sound of the PodMic USB, so here is how the microphone sounds without the windscreen installed. And now I am speaking into the PodMic USB with the provided foam windscreen installed, and here's how it's sounding. And here is another sample of the PodMic USB without the foam windscreen installed. And again, here is how the PodMic USB sounds with the provided foam windscreen. Next, I want to provide a really quick back and forth comparison of the USB and the XLR output so we can hear if there is any kind of difference. Starting on the USB output, no Aphex processing turned on and my gain is set at 51 dB, and here is how it's sounding. Now I have the XLR output running into the Focusrite 18i 22nd Gen, gain set at around 430, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, and here is how this compares to the USB output. And again, I am back on the USB output recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, and here is how it compares to the XLR output. For good measure, here is a second sample of the XLR output into the Focusrite 18i20. Let me know in the comments, do you hear a big difference between the XLR and the USB? Now we're going to take a very quick look at the DSP that's available for this mic. If you want a more in-depth look, I made a supplemental video on my second channel and I will link that for you. The basic settings are depth, sparkle, and punch. Depth is going to basically be a low frequency EQ, gives you a bit more body. Sparkle is, as you guessed it, going to be a high frequency boost, so it gives you a lot more top end. Then we have punch. This gives you a bit more mids, but also a bit of compression. So that is what you're getting out of the punch setting. When we click on advanced, this allows us to fine-tune the compressor settings, the noise gate settings, turn on or off the 60 Hz high-pass filter, as well as adjust the exciter, the big bottom or the aural exciter. So this is where you get to play around and get a lot more granular with it. I'm not diving into all of that, but it is wonderful that they give you access to that. Now I want to include a very quick A/B comparison between the raw sound from the microphone and the processed sound of the microphone using somewhat of a default setting. The depth, sparkle, and punch are all set to about 60%. Again, here is how the microphone sounds with no processing turned on, and here is the sound of the microphone and the recording once we turn on the depth, sparkle, and punch. I also need to point out that with this microphone, you can use the Rode Connect software. This is essentially a digital Rodecaster Pro. It allows you to capture system audio, application audio, multiple USB microphones, and it gives you a soundboard. So if you're looking at this microphone to create podcasts with, the Rode Connect software is going to be instrumental in that. I will link a full in-depth walkthrough of this software if you want to dive a little bit deeper though. Next, I want to see if the DSP settings are stored on microphone so that you can connect this to a computer or a device without the Rode software installed and still get that processing. Let me go ahead and engage the processing now, and here's how it sounds on a computer with Rode Central installed. Now I have the mic connected to my MacBook Pro, and this doesn't have any Rode software installed, and in my zero latency monitoring, it sounds as though the processing is the same, but let me know in the comments down below. Next, like I always do, I'm going to do a quick spoken word comparison between the microphone that we're reviewing and a bunch of other microphones that are available, so we can hear how it sounds against the competition, and we don't just hear the microphone within a vacuum. Starting on the microphone we're reviewing, I am 3 inches off of the PodMic USB. My gain is set at 51 dB, recording 24-bit, 48 kHz, and here is how it sounds. The first microphone is the Maono HD300T. I am 3 inches off. My level is set at 89%, recording 16-bit, 48 kHz. This microphone goes for about $65, and here is how it compares to the PodMic USB. Back again on the PodMic USB for a palate cleanser. Here is how it sounds. Check the lower third. Let's go to another mic. Next up, I am on the Samson Q2u, 3 inches off with my level set at 37%, recording 16-bit, 48 kHz. This microphone costs between $60 and $70, and here is how it sounds compared to the PodMic USB. Let's do a bunch more. Back on the PodMic USB, I had to make the executive decision to use this in USB for the comparison section. Let me know if you agree. Let's go to another microphone. Next, I am on the Fifine K688, 3 inches off with my level set at 87%, recording 16-bit, 48 kHz. This microphone costs about $75, and here is how Fifine's offering sounds compared to the Rode. Let's go back and do some more comparisons. Back on the PodMic USB again, to be clear, there is no processing engaged, and here's how it sounds. Let's do another comparison. Now I am on the Audio Technica ATR2100X-USB, 3 inches off with my level set at 61%, 24-bit, 48 kHz. This microphone runs about $80, and here's how it sounds like compared to the Rode. Hey, we're back on the PodMic USB. I also made the decision to include the foam windscreen on it because I imagine most people will be using that. Let's go to another mic. Next, I am on the Rode NT USB Mini, which is a condenser microphone. I am 3 inches off with my level set at 20%, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This mic runs about $100, and here's how it compares to the PodMic USB. Alright, this is the midpoint of the comparison section on the PodMic USB palette cleanser. Let's go to another one. Now I am on the original Rode PodMic, which is XLR only. I am 3 inches off, running directly into the 18i 22nd Gen. Gain set at about 430, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This microphone costs about $100, and here's how it sounds compared to the upgraded USB version. Do you hear a difference? Let's do some more. Okay, we are now over the hump. This is another palette cleanser on the PodMic. Let's go to another microphone. I'm an idiot. Next, I am on the Audio Technica AT2040 USB, 3 inches off with my level set at 37%, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This microphone runs about $150, and here's how it compares to the PodMic USB. Let's go back and do a handful more comparisons. Okay, we're getting very near the end. This is a palette cleanser on the PodMic. Foam windscreen, USB, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. Check the lower third. Let's go again. Next, I am on the Rode NT USB Plus. I assure you I am talking into the front. I am 3 inches off with my level set at 42%. No processing is engaged. I am recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This mic goes for about $170, I think. But here's how it sounds compared to the PodMic USB. Which number is this? I don't know, but this is the PodMic USB palette cleanser. Let's hear whatever the next microphone might be. Next, we are on the Rode Procaster, 3 inches off. Gain on the 18i20 is still set at about 430, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This microphone goes for about $230, and here's how it sounds so you can get a good comparison between the Procaster and the PodMic USB. Hey, we're back on the PodMic USB for a palette cleanser. Let's go to another microphone. Next, I am on the Shure MV7, 3 inches off with my level set at 63%, recording 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. No processing is turned on. This microphone goes for about $250, and here's how it sounds compared to a microphone which is competing directly with this. Let's go back and do a couple more. Through the power of editing, I know for certain that the next microphone will be the penultimate microphone, so this is the penultimate palette cleanser on the Rode PodMic USB. I said that all in one breath. Let's go to the next microphone. Next, we are on the Shure SM7b with the EQ switches set to neutral, 3 inches off with the gain set at 100%. This microphone goes for about $400, and here's how it sounds compared to the Rode PodMic USB. Which do you like best? Let's go back and do one more comparison. And you all know what the final microphone is going to be, so let's go ahead and jump to it right now. And finally, we are on the Neumann U87 Ai. I am on the Cardioid polar pattern, no pad, no filter, 3 inches off, gain set at 11 o'clock, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz. This microphone goes for about $3,700. I understand this is not a fair comparison, different microphone types and vastly different price tiers. This is just meant to function as a control. There you go, those are the comparisons. Now let us jump to the music test. I told you that I'd make this video. testing out this brand new mic from Rode. Won't you tell me, USB-C, go hug a tree outside. The lyrics don't really make much sense, but that's the beauty of it. They don't have to. I could sing Booger the entire time, and it wouldn't matter because the tone of the microphone is really what matters. I should try that. Let's go to the conclusion. Okay, it's conclusion time. This microphone is incredibly functional and utilitarian, and it does a lot, but I don't love it. And before we get into the pros, let me go ahead and turn on the processing. And first up, the DSP Processing and the recording software are excellent. The Windscreen is surprisingly effective and well designed. I love that it records 24-bit 48 kilohertz, and a lot of people will love the USB-C port. Then as far as cons, the microphone didn't do a great job at shock rejection. I also don't like the fact that the XLR and the USB output sound a bit different. On the note of the outputs, I really dislike the fact that you don't have simultaneous output to the USB and the XLR port. The way that it works is when the mic is connected over USB, the XLR output is muted, and that's a bummer because I know some people like to run XLR out to a portable recorder or a second PC. You can't do that with this device. And the last con for me is more of a wish. I wish this thing had a mute button. And now, what are my overall thoughts and opinions of the PodMic USB? As far as the overall sound, the first thing that I want to discuss is the two different outputs. I did hear quite a big difference between the XLR and the USB output. The main thing that I hear is the USB has a bit more support in the low mids, and it also seems to shave off a little bit of the harshness that you have in the upper frequencies over the XLR port. But as far as the overall sound of this microphone, I would classify it as having a controlled low end. Then the main thing you're going to hear, a very dominant and forward midsection, and then you get a bit of graininess in the upper frequencies, but that is much more apparent over the XLR port. On the electric guitar, if you're going for a mid-forward sound and you want a bit of grain up top, I think it can work quite well for that. On the acoustic guitar, I am not a big fan of super mid-forward sound, so I wasn't a fan of it for that application. For singing vocals, again, if you want that mid-forward sound and you're okay with a bit of grain up top, I think it's fine for that use. And finally, for spoken word, the main design for this microphone, I am not in love with the sound because I think it's a bit too mid-forward, but at the same time, I think it's inoffensive. When I use this microphone on my podcast, I just turned on the basic processing, set everything to 70%. Was it the greatest sounding episode? No. Will it win awards? No. But it was basic, it was simple, and it got the job done, and I didn't really have to think about it. And to wrap up, would I recommend the Rode PodMic USB? Kind of. If you're looking for a microphone that you're mainly going to be using over XLR, no, I wouldn't. I think there are much better sounding XLR microphones that are significantly cheaper, and I think you should go for one of those. How about if you're looking for a USB mic but you don't care about and you will not use the DSP or the recording software? Again, no, I wouldn't recommend it because I think there are much better sounding options that lack DSP that are a lot cheaper. But if you need a USB microphone that has all of this functionality and it stores the DSP settings on board so that you can use the microphone on a computer that doesn't have Rode software, then yes, I would recommend it because that feature set is very limited. I do think the NT USB Mini sounds better than the PodMic USB, but the NT USB Mini does not store the DSP processing on board, so you always need to have the Rode Connect software open if you want that. You don't have that same limitation with the PodMic USB. So if that describes you, those are the features that you need, and you don't mind the sound of this microphone, then I would say go for it because it's very rare to find a microphone that does all of this, even if it's not my favorite sound. That's all that I've got for you today. If you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Hated it, big ol' thumbs down. Go ahead and subscribe if you want more videos like this. I'd really appreciate that. Huge thank you to these amazing people. They support the channel, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Whoa. Whoa. Boop.